Whether you realize it or not, the majority of the things that I speak here to when it comes to Spirit 101 or other subject matters about contract, trust, business, UCC are all but a form of reminder of something that you readily possess within you. But my comprehension is that possession is not always equivalent to competence of use of that which is possessed. Therefore, a reminder of the subtleties of the substance that already exists in you has to be provided to you for you to pull it out. This is also what those who screw society at large readily knows. For instance, the concept of money. What we spend today as money is just a piece of damn paper with cute inks on it that we've decided to say, if there is a number or letter on this, it's worth this much. Someone has managed to take that ambiguous subtlety of nature and manifest it at large by taking paper and making it money. And humanity is effectively ruled by it. Keep in mind, though, I'm never here to tell you to perceive something as good or bad, because nature never dictates such a thing. You and I are the ones who make that determination based on our discernment. That tool that I've just used as an example of a possession and the subtlety and the substance behind it and how it can be used, no matter how flimsy or how predominantly useless it is perceived, and how it now basically moved the world. That example should be known by you when it comes to this thing called existence. You already possess something within you that disqualifies or that disallows you from going to an agency to outsource its job. That thing is the divinity within you. In certain West African cultures, they call it Ori, O-R-I. Ori is a Yoruba metaphysical concept. Ori literally means, quote unquote, head. Refers to one's spiritual intuition and destiny. So these two well-known words, intuition and destiny, is what encompasses you that the physical world follows. No different than the shadow follows the physical body. The physical world merely lags behind something that has already played out. No different than we look up and we see the stars. Even the wisest mind today are now beginning to realize those are just glimpses of dead galaxies and dead suns and dead planets. And if they're not, they are the previous positions in the path that they took that lags behind based on light speed that it takes to get here. And we are just now seeing it. The farther the distance between our spaceship called Earth and whatever we're perceiving as a glimmer of light up there, the greater the chance that that thing barely even exists, which lets you know that the subtleties of reality is always based on the ability to think about it and put it to use. The divinity that exists in you, called Ori, just because you possess it and it determines your destiny and it comes to you by sending you a message and alarm through intuition, as shown here, where it says one spiritual intuition and destiny. Just because you have it doesn't mean you know how to use it. And in today's world, many people will take and put that Ori of yours to use one way or another, because there are many people walking out here with a deprived state of mind. And the only way they can successfully do such a thing is if you decide to not recognize what already exists within you. When you are coming here, you are told to stretch your hands out, and something was given to you. It was handed to you. That bright orb was just handed to you to say, this is your personal tool. This is your divinity. Everything you're going to need when you get to that place that you're going to, which is this thing called Earth. Just call upon this thing and it will do it for you. But there's something called an ocean that you have to go through before you get here. That's your mother's womb. That water that breaks out before you come out. There's a similitude of that spiritually. And that water is what basically wipes most people's spiritual memory to know what their purpose is and what their power is. It's a serious sedative, and that is mentioned in a very neutral manner without any insinuation of anything bad. But that's just how nature operates. You got here, you have some serious case of long-term memory loss. And therefore, you found a readily available product of someone, a readily available product called God, created by a group of people a long time ago that realized we already have this thing in us, but we have a tendency to forget about it. Therefore, since it's one of the greatest things relating to existence, if not the greatest thing when it comes to existence, and we can always go to it to get what we want out of existence, no different than making a wish at a genie lamp. Let's create it as a product since they've forgotten they have theirs. That's why theological institutions and faith selling is the greatest robbery that exists on earth. People identify with it, attach themselves with it, get tattoos of it, put juries of it on, build an entire life around it. It's a very, very, very common case of mental illness. And it is one of the main issues that humanities face in today's world. The product sold as a substitute for your own divinity, your own Uri. And those who finally slowly begin to realize something is a bit off about what they've been taught to accept about anything divine, they start to go into different things like meditation, and they travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles to go listen to some spiritual teacher. No spiritual teacher can give you anything spiritual. You can travel thousands of miles all you want. That same thing you got sitting in there in front of that spiritual teacher, you can get by taking a 2-hour walk on a bike trail or going on a hike. But the problem is most people cannot be with their thoughts and themselves alone. That is the first problem. And the society that sells you the concept of divinity in the form of God and theological institution create and instigate things that allows you to not ever be able to be comfortable with being with yourself. One of those is technological luxury. One of those is TV, news, bombardment of things like trends, all that trash. Rarely do people ever get a good solid 1 hour in a day to just be with themselves and their thoughts. And the less time you spend with yourself, the farther away you get with that divinity. And when the need comes for you to use that power, someone else readily has an outsourced institution for you to go to. This concept exists in many different dichotomies, similar to educational institutions, whereby there's a conflict of interest with the teachers teaching a syllabus. They can't go outside of that syllabus. And their conflict of interest is that they play a role significant to it. So you're just conditioned for the rest of your life to just be an employee. By the time you figure that out, it is a bit too late. Start realizing paycheck to paycheck, gas price going up, rent going up. But the problem is not that these things are going up, because those are external economy. If your financial literacy and financial education is on point, those external economy would not matter with your internal economy, because your pocket would always, in truth and in fact of what that word abundance mean, it would always be that. But the conflict of interest of educational institution have conditioned you as a substitute of the true education, where you're conditioned to work for money rather than money working for you. I've mentioned this in other videos. Many people wake up every day working for money and don't stop to think about how money even works. Yet they wake up every day and they work for it. So this dichotomy of agency of what you naturally should possess has been outsourced, and it always begins with you. So begin to use your intuition properly to affect your destiny. This first few words, or this first sentence of defining Ori, encompasses any other bullshit you see that they'll give you as an explanation here or in any other places where you read about Ori. It is a simple That's the fact that you have everything you need that readily exists within you. Even in the Yoruba teachings, they let you know that Ori is the greatest Orisha that exists. That word Orisha is what people are familiar with, which looks to the people in the Western world as being synonymous with quote unquote deity. So they talk about Shango, Ifa, Orishanla, Oya, Oshun, Obaluaye, so and so. They fail to realize that that deity term, Orisha, its root word is Ori, O-R-I-S-A. Shah just means to choose, meaning the head, the divinity in each of us chose those quote unquote deities, Oshun, Shango, Ogun. It chose them to be where they are. But that same Ori, you have it within you. But that same Ori, you have it within you. But that same Ori, you have it within you. But that same Ori, you have it within you. There's even a folklore story that explains how all these other deities met Ori. There's even a folklore story that explains how all these other deities met Ori somewhere on the road and they fought him. And when they fought Ori, Ori was the one who basically scattered them to be designated as being incapable of war, incapable of childbirth, incapable of love, so and so, and divination. So Ori was one who made a determination for all these deities that most Westerners find when it comes to Yoruba African spirituality. Yet they fail to look at the subtlety and the substance. And all these Orisha, they go on about saying, I am a child of Oya, I'm the child of Oshun, Ogun this. And I'm like, come on, people. You're missing the whole fucking point. Those who originated that thing that you're adopting, they're telling you based on the word itself and the folklore embedded into it. But people can easily get lost in the sauce of how reality works. I'm here to give you a reminder. You have something in you that is already complete, particularly when it comes to spirituality. The answer is in your hands. And as you go out and seek the knowledge of how to use that tool, remember I mentioned earlier, possession alone is not synonymous with the ability to actually use what you possess. You got a big dick, you will have big dick problems because all that mass, if you don't know how to control it and how to push blood into it, because it's a different type of tissue separate from any other type of muscle, you just be carrying around something in between your legs that's just going to be staring at the floor the majority of the time you're ready to put it to use. Born in a wealthy family, sure, that's good. But if you don't have self-discipline and competence as to how that wealth came about and how you can put it to use and perpetuate it, you just be another wealthy child that turns into a crackhead. You look beautiful while you're young as a woman. That's good. Accepting all that attention. If you don't know how to use it to attract a man that will stay with you for the rest of your life when that beauty fades, truly, sincerely based in human connection, that beauty will fail you. Information. If you have a lot of information and you're just hoarding it and you don't use it, that information will serve you no good. And on the note of information, if you have it and you don't use discernment to think and reflect, how does this make sense? How does it functionally applies to how the real world works? That information might just be a detriment. Same thing applies with the divinity that it already exists within you. You can possess it all you want if you don't know how to use it, or if you're not even aware that you can use it. Other institutions who realize what you have will just keep that ability dormant in you, and they'll keep playing God when you already have it in you. It's already local within your existence. It's not foreign. It can never be. Otherwise, you would not have came here in the first place. The ultimate divine creator is not as so harsh to create souls on this earth and just leave them out here wondering about like lost souls without giving them a direct power for them to use and call upon at any time. That's what differentiates ghouls and wraiths and banshees and other lost souls from humans. We have a direct access to divinity. Call upon it. Use it. Stop looking to outside sources. Most of these spiritual teachers people go to tell them about the seven ethers, tell them about some Brahma, or even when you look at theological text itself, whether you look at it from the eastern, far eastern, west, wherever part of the world, those are just documentation of someone who once lived and did great things. Because those men and women comprehended their ori and they put it to use. You are here, it's your turn. Learn from them, but do not worship. Worship is the problem of humanity. Worship is the trap used to enslave people spiritually. Be better than that. If there's anything you are to venerate, it is what exists inside of you. Put it to use. It is always there waiting for you to call upon it. That's what that word God means, to pour out. The old High German word that means to pour out. It's already inside of you. Call upon it. It will always respond. That's why Yoruba people have a thing where they always take things and give it to their head, because signs and symbols is the language of how divinity speak. And the intent of taking similitude of things can actually be absorbed by things beyond the physical world. Again, the divine creator of everything is not so harsh as to bring you here just wandering lost without already embedding into you that which you require as divinity.